D.C. Guardsman shooter worked with the CIA. Shocking betrayal and politicized security failure. Judge Judy Movie Analysis 2025 exposes the truth. Welcome to Judge Judy Movie Analysis 2025, the channel where we dissect and analyze the hottest stories with a sharp eye and unyielding logic. Today, we are confronting an unbelievable case where a suspected terrorist has a background linked to the very intelligence forces he attacked. The assault onto National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. has exposed a shocking truth about the vetting process and a betrayal rooted deep within. Join me as we go through every detail of this news report, from the bloody scene to the stunning revelations about the suspect's history, and analyze its political and security implications, following the exact sequence and logic of a subtitle transcript. The attack scene and victim identities, a nightmare in the Capitol. The broadcast opened with the anchor, whom I will call Anchor 1, announcing the names of the two West Virginia National Guard members who were shot at point-blank range, just blocks from the White House. They are Sarah Beckstrom, 20 years old, and Andrew Wolf, 24 years old. The Justice Department confirmed they have undergone surgery and remain in critical condition. Initial information about the suspect was also revealed. A 29-year-old Afghan national traveled across the country, from Washington state to the nation's capital, before the attack. Analysis and sentiment. The revelation of the young victims ages 20 and 24 immediately creates deep sympathy. They are young service members on a national security mission. The fact that they were shot at point-blank range right in the heart of the Capitol, a place symbolizing power and safety, is a major shock. The detail that the suspect traveled across the country shows clear premeditation and intent, not a spontaneous act. Anchor 1 then introduced field reporter Brian Todd, who was live at the shooting scene. Reporter Brian Todd, addressing Anchor 1 and his colleagues Omar and Boris, began describing the crime scene. He directed viewers to the exact spot where the shooting occurred. He pointed to a bus shelter, where officials said at least one of the guardsmen tried to take cover. Todd highlighted physical evidence showing the ferocity of the attack. A plexiglass panel of the bus shelter had been shot out. You can see the fragmented glass up there. He moved to a planter, where it appeared there was a bullet hole that entered and exited. Another planter had a part removed. He pointed to a panel piece that was removed, showing additional bullet holes. The scene also featured a makeshift memorial here to the victims, with flowers and an American flag. Todd explained that this looks like some evidence that was handled by authorities as they started to process the scene. Analysis and sentiment. Brian Todd's scene description is vivid and chilling. The image of a guardsman having to take cover in a bus shelter, along with the bullet holes and shattered glass, vividly portrays the brazenness and violence of the ambush. This is irrefutable physical proof of the intent to kill. The makeshift memorial on the spot is a testament to the public's shock and reverence for the service members' sacrifice. Todd then cited Jeanine Pirro, the prosecutor, the U.S. Attorney General for the District of Columbia, about the sequence of gunshots that, quote, reiterated the attack's brutality. A lone gunman opened fire without provocation, ambush style, armed with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. One guardsman was struck, went down, and then the shooter leaned over and struck the guardsman again. The other guardsman was also struck several times. Todd confirmed that both guardsmen are now in critical condition at a local hospital. He provided more information about their service time. Sarah Beckstrom has been in the Guard since 2023, and Andrew Wolf since 2019. He also clarified that their recent swearing-in was believed to be as deputies for the U.S. Marshals, which they have to do about every month. The shocking truth about the suspect, ties to the CIA. Anchor 1 and Boris then introduced CNN senior national security reporter Zach Cohen to delve into the suspect's background. Zach Cohen revealed the stunning details about the suspect, a 29-year-old Afghan national. He came to the United States in 2021. He came as part of the program that was implemented by the Biden administration after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Part of the reason he was allowed to come to the U.S. was because of his work with the U.S. military and CIA. Cohen explained he is understood to have served in an elite counterterrorism unit that worked directly with U.S. intelligence and military units in Afghanistan. This work included active combat against Taliban forces. His evacuation was because he was one of thousands of individuals who served in those roles and were evacuated when the Taliban started to rise to power. His background with the CIA and the intelligence community does seem to be the basis for his travel to the U.S. Analysis and sentiment. This is the most dramatic and shocking twist. The fact that someone who was a trusted partner of the CIA and the U.S. military, fighting the Taliban, would turn into a terrorist and shoot U.S. soldiers on U.S. soil is something really, truly unprecedented. This raises a huge question about the process of radicalization and post-entry monitoring. It immediately refutes the no vetting argument, shifting the issue to internal transformation after being admitted. Cohen continued discussing the vetting process. Although he was only temporarily allowed to come at first, his background with the CIA and the intelligence community seemed to be the basis for his entry. Regarding the vetting, Cohen said it should have been very extensive. The initial process included vetting by the U.S. government, including the CIA. Once granted temporary asylum while applying for permanent status, he would have gone through a variety of different layers of vetting: identity and background checks, biometric vetting, in-person interviews, and eligibility under U.S. law. Cohen then disclosed a critical political detail. The ultimate approval of his asylum application was granted under the Trump administration in 2025. Analysis and sentiment. This detail is a sudden political turn. While political figures were claiming the previous administration let folks in without vetting, the final approval occurring under the Trump administration, important counter data. This detail complicates the political narrative, making it a matter of a long-standing system failure across administrations, questioning the effectiveness of post-evacuation vetting. Security expert analysis, radicalization and surveillance gaps. Anchor 1 and Boris then introduced Donald Harvin, former head of Homeland Security and Intelligence for Washington, D.C., and a faculty member at Georgetown University. Harvin discussed the review of every migrant admitted under the previous administration. He said this would involve interviewing anywhere from 70 to nearly 100,000 people. Harvin defended the Afghan refugee community. He emphasized that the crime rate among Afghan asylum seekers is at such a low rate. He was unable to find any major crimes committed by these individuals. He reiterated that these individuals and their family members served the U.S. service members abroad and helped save lives. The real issue, according to Harvin, lies in the post-entry oversight gap. Once these individuals go through that layered process of vetting and get into the United States, they are free to move around the country. There is no further surveillance of them. There is no surveillance state of them. They are treated like any other asylum seeker, undergoing a normal and non-enhanced vetting process. Harvin believes the administration is now talking about some type of advanced vetting. Analysis and sentiment. Donald Harvin's comments are crucial. They temper the political fervor with data on low crime rates, avoiding the blanket condemnation of the entire community. His key point is that vetting focuses on the past, their previous history, ideology, but that can't predict the future. This is the difficult challenge: how to prevent radicalization after a person has been admitted and trusted. Harvin and Boris discussed how investigators determine a terrorism motive, especially since the suspect is reportedly not cooperating. Harvin explained that even though he's not cooperating, investigators can still piece together his background and who he communicated with. Harvin reiterated a pattern they often see. Individuals who are radicalized and mobilized to violence always have some type of breadcrumb trails or leakage. They may have told someone. They may have intimated this online. There are always some type of signs. People just don't wake up, drive across the country with a gun, and open fire on uniformed service members. Analysis and sentiment. Harvin's analysis is highly professional. He is confident that evidence of radicalization is scattered throughout the suspect's life. This case requires an extensive investigation into the suspect's digital footprint and social relationships, particularly during the 3 years since he arrived in the U.S. Finally, Harvin responded to the suspect's relationship with the CIA and the U.S. government. According to Director John Ratcliffe, Harvin said that everything available suggests he served honorably and was trusted at a very high level. He affirmed that, "You do not get attached to a secret top-secret unit with the CIA and Special Operations if you haven't been thoroughly vetted." They trusted this individual quite possibly with their life to make sure that they wouldn't leak any information to adversaries. Harvin concluded that something drastic has had to happen over the last 3 years since he got here. He emphasized that this incident is really unprecedented. Analysis and sentiment. This final assessment encapsulates the horror of the case. This shooting is not an initial vetting error, but a failure to prevent the radicalization of a former trusted partner. The event is a massive shock to the U.S. intelligence and military community. Harvin concluded with a powerful statement. This case truly is unprecedented. Predictions for the next steps. Personalized style. Based on the profound details provided by Zach Cohen and Donald Harvin, I have several personal deductions and predictions about what will unfold next. Beyond the surface of the criminal case. Shift in investigative focus. The focus will shift from the initial vetting loophole to the radicalization process during Lachenwall's 3 years in the U.S. The FBI will search for contacts with foreign terrorist organizations and deeply investigate what content, groups, or individuals on U.S. soil drove his transformation from a counterterrorism partner to a terrorist. I predict there will be more search warrants and interviews within his social and community circles. Bipartisan political pressure. The detail of the final asylum approval under the Trump administration in 2025 will complicate the political battle. Instead of one side blaming the other, pressure will be on both parties to prove their vetting processes were sufficient. We may see rare bipartisan cooperation to pass post-entry surveillance legislation or an advanced vetting system, as Harvin suggested, to prevent this tragedy. Crisis of confidence in the intelligence community. The fact that Lachenwall worked for an elite CIA military unit will trigger a profound crisis of confidence. I predict U.S. intelligence agencies will conduct a massive internal audit of all former partner force files brought to the U.S. to reevaluate post-entry risks, victim health and charges. The critical condition of Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf remain central. Given the severe injuries and evidence of barbaric intent, leaning over to shoot again, I believe the likelihood of at least one of the cases being upgraded to first-degree murder is very high. This would be a powerful statement from the Justice Department. The price of a betrayed trust. This case is a tragic story of betrayed trust. A man who once fought alongside CIA operatives turned his gun on uniformed U.S. service members in their own country. It forces us to face the uncomfortable reality. The enemy can emerge from the most trusted sources. Donald Harvin's warning about post-entry radicalization is a far greater challenge than any initial vetting process. It demands a new, flexible national security approach aimed at monitoring risks that may evolve over time. This incident truly is unprecedented. Let us continue to monitor the health of Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf and support law enforcement in this complex investigation. Question for the audience. If the initial vetting was thorough, what warning signs were missed during Romina Lachenwall's 3 years in the U.S., and how should the oversight system be changed? Please comment your thoughts on this unprecedented event. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share so Veterans Valor and Judge Judy Movie Analysis 2025 can continue to report and analyze the most critical stories. Thank you.